absolutely fantastic, and welcome back. You are still hanging out with us right here on the hashtag, which is Y in the Morning on all socials, and that includes Facebook, X, Instagram, including TikTok and Threads at Y254 channel. And personally, you can find me at Brian Soccer 101 on the hashtag Y in the Morning. We've asked you a question on our social media in regards to matters business. Today being Innovations and Entrepreneurship Tuesday, we are asking you, biashara yako inapitia challenges gani, especially right now? I understand there's a lot of floods in the country, but also I'd like to just know, what is the state and the condition of your business, especially the SME side? I definitely would love to hear and sample your feedback on that one as we continue with a conversation with our very powerful guest who is live with us right here in the studio. She is an international travel consultant and an influencer. Her AKA is Nashipai, but her real name is Sinja. She'll correct me if I've butchered it. Karibu sana. Great to meet you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for being here.
Also, thank you for being here.
Thanks. Yeah, and
So,
you are correct.
It's
very good pronunciation.
Points as we begin. Right. Karibu sana to Kenya. You know, when you meet someone new, sometimes it's like you just don't know how to start a conversation with them. But I feel like we already talked.
Exactly.
We already talked.
Had the interview.
We are buddies. But let's get to know you a little bit. So in your story, you literally had to quit a job in your country to come to Kenya. And that is a very big risk. What prompted you to do this?
Yes. It is true, some see it as a risk. However, when I traveled the first time to Kenya, which was over 10 years ago, I can't believe like the time has just passed by, I fell in love with Kenya in a way that it's not describable. It's like we say magical Kenya. Right. And I had never plans of staying in Kenya, living in Kenya, working in Kenya. My idea was traveling here for half a year, right. And as a former teacher, so working as an internship, doing volunteering, and then going back and being a teacher in Germany.
Right.
And then I fell in love with the people, actually. That's what made me stay.
Yes, and that's incredible. But you said you've been on and off. So which year first did you set foot in Kenya?
Yes. So I came the first time in 2014. Right. And then I stayed for half a year. And then obviously because of my visa reasons, I had to go back. Right. And as I started an organization in Kenya, I had to go back, fundraise money in Germany, and as well have enough money to spend it here in Kenya as well and start a life here. Yes. In a different continent, just by myself.
How did you feel? Because this is a very daunting decision. I can imagine, you know, you having to transition between another country and quitting what you are practicing. What were the voices that time and what did they say, especially from your family?
Yes. Yeah. So their voices were very loud and crazy, and up to today my family has difficulty to understand why I chose to move to Africa and leave Germany behind. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I believe if you're called to do something and if you have a vision or something which is like, you just don't have to listen to your voice. Yes. I just followed my heart and that was all. Mm-hmm. I stopped listening to whatever my head was saying and people were saying around me because they're not me and they're not in my shoes. Yes. And I just followed what I felt like was right at that moment. Yes. And it turned out to be the best decision I've made in my life. And that doesn't mean that was an easy decision because I came here, I had no job. Up to today, I was never employed. Like, I started doing my own business. I started running my own organization just with the faith of I can do it, and there's something awaiting me in Kenya which is bigger than what I could do actually in Germany being a teacher.
Yes, incredible. Now, when you first set foot still on that place, when you first set foot, how did you start picking yourself and getting ingratiated into the Kenyan, culture and community? Did you have like a friend, or you just came like a stranger?
I just came by myself, alone as a solo traveler. I came through another organization so that I knew, okay, at least the first 1 month I'd be taken care of, and I volunteer in a school. But when I came, for me, it was a total culture shock.
Yes. What were the things that, were very, like, you see them and you're like, oh
traffic,
my goodness,
traffic,
Lord have mercy.
Roads, driving on the other side, driving on bumpy roads. I didn't know cars can pass such roads. Like, we don't have such roads in Germany to be passable. And then, I don't know, it was just too much, the food, and we were in a headquarters in Nairobi, and I think for me that first night was just a culture shock, and I just felt like, oh my God, I want to fly back home immediately. I don't want to stay here. Yeah. Until the next day when they actually transferred me to Thika, where I was volunteering in an organization, and when I then was introduced to the kids in the school, and that's when I started feeling like immediately, wow, this is home.
Yeah, the receptiveness and the warmth of the people.
The smile, like, you can just see that sparkle in the eyes of the kids, because as a teacher now coming to the school, they want to learn from you. They're excited. They are grateful and blessed that they actually can go and be able to go to school.
Right.
So many kids in Kenya don't have this, are not able to access school.
Yes. And through that experience, that's now birthed the organization. Is it Giamini?
Yes.
So maybe just a little journey of how did it come to be birthed, and how did you even come up with the name Giamini? That's a lot of creativity in there. So you can just give us a little story of how that came to be.
What happened was that after school, on the way home, I was walking home. That is in Section 9 in Thika. So for all the ones listening, living in Thika, you know what I'm talking about? So the kids, the street kids in Section 9, they are from Kiandutu slum, most of them.
Right.
So after school, they just come naturally because they're begging, they want food, they want money. And I just found myself spending a lot of time with them, even after school, after volunteering.
Right.
And then it just started popping up in my mind. It's like, okay, what can I actually do to help them? And something within inside me was just telling me there's something I can do, and I can support street kids in a way that they can have a better future, because these kids are not yet in school. They maybe don't have parents. They maybe have other problems in taking drugs or not having a home. So I started involving myself with organizations who are based in Kiandutu to figure out, okay, what can I do? Where can I start?
Right. And how was it, the initial stages, the formative years? Was it unpredictable? Were there times like it was so uncertain? You you were trusting and holding on to mercy.
I think the only thing I was holding on was trust and the belief that I can do something and I can give them a better future. But even financially myself, I was not in a position to support. Like, everything I had saved was basically I was using to live in that 6 months of traveling and starting the organization by scratch.
Yes.
From my own funding. And then additionally, we started fundraising. And that is actually the reason why I became a travel influencer, because I started going online and talking about the kids and what we are doing and asking for support.
Right. So you got inspirations from both sides. And I know it can be really daunting, because it's also iconic how you came in as a traveler, and now you're a professional influencer, and then now the birth of your organization. So as well, like how did you reach to that, let's say that point that you become an influencer, and now here you are, you have this organization that's fully blown and it's running?
I think it's all a journey where we put our work in. So the first 4 years, I only lived in Thika, and I started the organization, flying in between Kenya and Germany to start another fundraising organization in Germany. And nowadays, I am just like the person in the middle. The organization in Germany is fundraising, is supporting the team in Kenya. And even the team in Kenya nowadays, it's completely run by locals.
Yes.
So it is running itself. So since it was able to run itself is when I was now able to start with, like, okay, I also need to now take care of myself. I need to look for how I can make my own living myself, and started traveling and started now doing that on a professional level. So since over 5 years now.
Yes.
And that's when I started exploring and traveling actually Kenya full time.
Right. That's incredible, because also I'm looking at it, off the air you mentioned to me you're a mother, so you have a little child right here, and now you have to divide yourself to fit in all these positions. Was it overwhelming at first?
It is, and it's still up to today overwhelming, but I do believe, especially as moms, so to all the moms listening, we know how strong we are, and to all the single moms as well. Because yes, we have a child to raise, we still have to go to work, we still have other jobs or other things to do at the side, and we want to still give back to the locals and to the communities. And that's why we are moms and we are strong.
Right. Fantastic, amazing. I think you need to be recognized for that. And now that you've become an influencer, before we even get to your name, Nashipai, I'd just like to know maybe what were some of the conversations and the communities that you identified with that actually accepted you massively? And also maybe did you have a lot of connections with mothers, or now that this is already an orphanage, right? It's a daycare. You mentioned to me it's a daycare. So who did you identify with the most, and who are the most supportive, especially when it comes to the Kenya? Also, you can mention the community if you're confident. Yeah.
So I know we're heading to the Maasai later, so I want to start with the Samburu tribe. And I don't know why, but Samburu has really taken my heart. So when I traveled there, I felt like this is some places in Kenya which are still untouched. So when you go to the northern Kenya sites.
Yes.
And what is beautiful there is like, I was first going to support the women's only village, Umoja, which is a village just run by women to support each other. Actually, those women, they founded a village only for women, so men are not allowed to go there. I mean, in the Samburu culture, where women might get mistreated, they might get beaten up. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying they are still having challenges with FGM, and their kids are not able to go to school. Even women themselves, they were never going to school. So they said, enough is enough. And they actually made it over, I believe, 20 years ago to just start a village with 15 women. They didn't know how to survive. They didn't know if the man will come after them and get them back. So that story was so inspirational for me. And going there to actually meet Rebecca myself, who was one of the co-founders of that village, really was...
She's also Samburu?
She's a Samburu, yes.
Okay.
It was a transformational experience which has shaped me into a way that I said, yes, traveling is good, and I love going to Masai Mara, I love going to Nakuru or Amboseli, who doesn't? But if you can travel and also support locals, it's not only changing their lives, it's changing your life as well. Because the perspective you get about life and what is important in life will change you forever.
Right.
So I believe since that time, Samburu has a very place in my heart. And that's why I also, because I love sharing the story of that village and obviously other villages as well.
Yes.
I do love supporting or inspire. I believe I inspire most moms.
Right. So you gravitate towards them a lot.
Exactly.
And they do gravitate towards you a lot. So you attract each other.
Exactly, especially since I travel with my little one alone in Kenya. And it has just created so much noise. Like even from my own parents. When I was pregnant, the first thing they told me, now you're pregnant, you can't travel anymore. Says who? I still did. Then they're saying, okay, wait until you deliver and you have a baby, now you have to stop traveling. And that's the time actually I started traveling full time. I didn't even have like an apartment or a base anymore. I was traveling all over Kenya. Up to now, where I say like now, okay, let me settle a bit. Now he's turning 3 years almost. So it's just that belief that we as moms, the moment we have a child, we are supposed to sit at home or maybe go to work, then come back, be with our kids. But kids are actually that strength within us which can empower us as well to explore the world. And this is one of the messages I want to share today, that all the moms here, we are super powerful and we can do anything. Yes, we have kids and they will not limit you from doing anything. So any dream you have or you want to chase, go for it. And your kids will appreciate because you are their role model. I hope my little one is learning also from myself and seeing like, okay, she's doing all this, she's giving me all those different experiences. And we are not only traveling in Kenya, obviously also a lot in Tanzania, but just recently we came back from Dubai and I'm taking him home to Germany. And it's just for kids being able to open their way of thinking. If we can raise our next society, the next generation, with an open mind and accepting all type of cultures and people, and we are able to deal with everyone, there will be no tribal issues anymore, or no problems of we are still facing today, especially here in Kenya. So they will welcome all types of tribes, all cultures. It's really inspiring and eye-opening to hear you vehemently talk about this with a lot of enthusiasm. And I also believe it takes a lot of gravitas and a lot of mental grit and a lot of strength. So in short, congratulations. And I believe you're one of the power moms out there. And moms are the most powerful people in the world. Ever. Now, before we actually finish, before we switch to matters travel and your travel expertise and experience, in your daycare, I believe maybe sometimes when you have to, you use the word select, if you have to select kids that should come on board, what is the criterion that you use to have them on board? And maybe what are some of the stories that you are told before the child is considered to come on board? So we have an entire process before we onboard a new child. So we just recently onboarded a new one. And we actually do have a long waiting list, and that's why we have the Kenyan team, which is in charge of that, our social workers mainly, who now will do the groundwork and the field work and go and visit the conditions of the kids, because obviously in the slums we are in Thika and Kiandutu slum, there are over 30,000 people. Most likely the population of kids is by 70% or 75 even. So let's say we have around 20,000 kids, and obviously we cannot support all of them, and all are needy. So we work with total orphans, and then as well the special cases which like in a way that they are noticed as well by the community, either by the elders in the slum, by the police, or the schools, which are just noticed in some behavior that they might have to steal food because they don't get any food. Or some recently had stopped going to school, but they used to go to school, but now they can't anymore. So my philosophy was, before I started the organization, Giamini CBO, I actually wanted to work with street kids. But now the smarter way is on how we work today is with those kids who are transitioning, becoming street kids, and getting them back in the to the slum and in the school. Because those kids still, you have the highest chance of actually changing their life, and that they are not yet into drugs, and that they are yet still to be there and be say like, okay, yes, there is still hope for me. So it is easier, so the success rate is higher than the other type of kids, or the kids who are already in school. So we try to capture those transition kids.
Inspiring, inspiring. And also you have a team of people that you work with. Now that your name of organization is Giamini.
Giamini, yes.
CBO Giamini?
Yes, Giamini CBO, community-based organization.
So how did you come up with the name Giamini? Were you the one who set it up, or you had?
Myself and another friend in Nairobi, because that time I didn't know yet any type of Swahili, right? So Giamini means believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
And we chose that name because what we are missing, or especially the kids we work with, is that they believe the faith in themselves. Because they might not have parents, they might not have the support from anywhere, but the moment they start believing in themselves and believe like, yes, I can do this, yes, I'm able to do this, and I am loved, no matter I don't have a family, no matter I live in a slum, there is someone taking care of me still, and I am worth it, I am enough. That is the message I wanted to share. And the moment you believe that, and that is for everyone here, the moment we believe in ourselves that we are worth it and enough is when you can move mountains, and when you can say, yes, let me move to another country, let me do this, let me become an influencer, whatever your dream is, you can manage. And that's the message I wanted to share with the kids. And that's why that time I named it Giamini CBO, and it's still up to today.
It's both genders, male, female, right?
Yes.
And you're building confidence, because rarely do we have actually such stories of people coming on board and just inspiring, especially from a different country. And I think that's really incredible. And are you taking in children anytime soon?
We hope so. So we just took one in like during Ramadan, just like 2 months ago. And we hope obviously to get more and more kids on board.
All right, absolutely. Now let's switch gears to your travel expertise. I think that's where we're going to have a lot of great chat. When it comes to traveling, especially right here in Kenya, and I love the fact that in your story, you came to Kenya as a traveler, and you loved Kenya. And then, so I'd also like to hear your interesting story, the first place you traveled to and what caught your attention before you became all of this.
Actually, the first thing, which is I think a funny story, is that I came to travel for half a year in Kenya, and then I never came to travel because I started the organization and then basically got stuck in Thika and building that organization. So I postponed all my travels. However, I still went on quick trips, like obviously to Diani. Everyone loves the beach. But before that...
The heavenly Diani.
Exactly. Before that, I went to stay within a Maasai village.
Right. And where was that?
That is Nyangong, so in Kajiado.
Oh, in Kajiado. I believe that's where your name Nashipai was birthed as well.
Exactly. So it was not my plan at all. It just came to that I met a Maasai, and then he was like, yeah, why don't you stay with my village? And my 10 years younger self was like, yeah, why don't I do that? And I just stayed over with him, his family, his sisters. And it was such an interesting story for me, or experience, to experience firsthand that it is possible to live in a completely different cultural setup where men are living with multiple wives, and it seems to work.
Did that amaze you at first? You're like, oh, good Lord, where is this?
I wouldn't say it amazed me. I could not, for myself personally, imagine being the second or third wife. However, I respect women who can and who choose that lifestyle and that situation. And I respect, that was my host mom.
This was your host?
Yeah, this is the host mom. So her husband was the one giving me the name Nashikpai.
All right.
And she gave me that bracelet from the Maasai. Yes. And
Did they tell you what the name means?
Yes. So it means the one who is always smiling and who is, yeah, the happy one, because he was like, you are here, everything is like new for you. You don't have water, you know, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's not even network. You had to go like on a hill up to try for networks, and then you still have the old phone. So that time I wasn't yet even an influencer or vlogging much. We did some of those pictures there from those time, but it was just like on a actually camera, not even on an iPhone shot. Yeah, and so one of the incredible stories is that, as you see here, like the women, they go together, fetch water, for example. So they are all loving the same man, but still some of the tasks they do together, and they appreciate each other, and they work together. And I just believe something like this would never work in Europe. We would be just thinking of like, no, I fight her, I'm jealous.
Divorce.
Exactly. Then you come here and you can see it can be peaceful.
The unity and the love.
It has a positive impact as well, because also those women, you have to take care of them, and the kids are raising in a big, wonderful family.
Right. And
so I saw that positivity. Resources. They don't have much resources, but what inspires me so much when I'm there, it's that peace you have, the quietness, the slowness. Like, people are just there in the moment, living mindful, and they're there the entire day cooking their beans.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to eat the beans?
I did, and I also ate a lot of ugali, not that I'm a fan of that, and there was so many experiences where I cooked ugali myself, and that's one of the biggest, because not the small pots, the big pots.
The big ones.
So you need a lot of power and energy to do that.
Yes, but I'm sure they helped a lot.
They did help a lot.
And nyama choma as well? There's a lot of meat and milk?
Yes, so actually there, especially in the Maasai tribe, because I was there, they were slaughtering a goat, and then we were drinking the blood.
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood with salt.
Did you take a test of it?
Yes, I did.
And
but
you
that
loved
was,
it?
I mean, it was not that bad actually. That wasn't all. They gave me like I think it was the liver.
Wow.
And that one I couldn't eat it. I'm so sorry. And then also, actually, I do have the Maasai burns here. So I got officially Maasai. So they took the stick with the fire, and then they burn you.
Yes.
I mean, they have it in their faces or somewhere else. So I chose to have it on my arm.
It's part of their body cultural
art. Yeah, so to say like, okay, you are now one of us.
Yes.
So we did the entire ceremony.
Yeah.
And that was not for a tourism aspect. That was just welcoming me. Yes, as a personal, like as I am the new friend.
Yeah. So you received a lot of warm reception.
Yes. And I think that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Kenya, and chose also to stay here, because Kenyan people are just so warm and welcoming. It is incredible. In Germany, you would not be able to just show up at someone's house or village and you'll be like, yeah, let me stay here.
Or even say hi to a neighbor and it becomes a conversation.
Yes.
Right. Incredible. And then from there, so what year was this when all these things were happening?
That was still the first year, 2014.
2014. And they're still your family till today, like
yes,
blood.
Yes, still communicate, yes.
Right. So from there, how did you develop now traveling? What other destination did you check out, and then you finally started now full-blown traveling?
Whew, it's a good question to ask. Obviously, after that, I went to Diani and other beaches. But then what made me is, I think, I like traveling slow and longer, because if you really want to experience a place and get all the hidden gems and experiences on the ground, I believe you have to stay there a bit longer and spend like a couple of weeks, if anyhow possible. Of course, I don't have the luxury to stay inside Masai Mara for a couple of weeks. There we just travel in for safari and get out and collaborate with some hotels and tour operators, shoot our content, and then we go. But for areas like Samburu, or even the entire coast, or there was one trip I did when I was highly pregnant. I was going from Samburu, Masabit, all the way to Chalbi Desert. Yeah. And those are like the places most of the locals have not even yet explored.
Yes.
And this is where I believe that the true beauty of traveling comes, because that is how Kenya is still like an untouched Kenya. Like in a way that travelers nowadays, they like to travel in a way that is not touristy. So I have so many requests, as I am a travel consultant. I have so many requests from international travelers who wants to come to Kenya and travel here, so I help them to plan their trip in Kenya. And one of their biggest requests is, Sinja, I would like to travel authentic, and I would like to explore more of the cultures and the experiences which is run by the locals. They are not
Right.
interested in big fancy hotels or
Yes.
spending their money like through international tour operators in Germany or
Yeah.
in the US. They want it
Right
to
here.
be here on the ground and have such experience that they can just jump with the Maasai and then
Yes.
they're happy because this is something which they are not, it's not accessible where else in the world apart
Yeah.
from Africa, and that's what makes
Yes.
Africa being Africa.
It's organic.
Exactly,
Literally.
and it's natural. And that's also like one of the messages I would like to share is that if you watching this and you feel like you or your family, you have an experience you want to share or you're welcoming international clients, it
Yes.
can be just like sitting on a bonfire, having a discussion, showing your village, showing a tea farm, a coffee farm, or any other tribal rituals you have and you want to share them with the world, then
Yes.
you can reach out to me. Just go to my Instagram at Travel with Sinja, send me a DM,
Yeah.
and then we can see if I can come and visit on my team, and then if we can help you and include that in our programs, because this is really what tourists nowadays want, and also then
Right.
that means we are supporting directly through tourism
Yes.
the locals.
Yeah,
and that is one of
absolutely.
my missions, where I say like, I don't want to be one of those others, hundreds consultants who's selling Masai Mara, Lake Nakuru, Naivasha, and Amboseli. There's so
Yes.
much more which comes into traveling in Kenya than just those, the parks. Kenya has way more to offer.
Right. Absolutely. It's really iconic. And when it comes to even the magical Kenya, we call it the
Yeah.
magical Kenya, there are so many destinations, just like you've said, that are yet to be discovered, yet to be explored. And I love the fact that you, as an international traveler, right? Do you consider yourself international, local?
I mean, I'm still an international traveler. However, I'm a resident, so I more consider myself as a,
International.
yeah, more, no,
Yeah.
I would say
But
50-50
sort
still.
of fish. Kind of
Yes.
sort of fish.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe are there best places so far that you've traveled to? And I love the fact that now you're using the power of YouTube as well as your Instagram
Yes.
to create that awareness, because a lot of people underestimate that, downplay that, because when it comes to social media and also how, especially the tourism sector at large and how it's marketed, I was actually reading an article where it says South Africa is the most marketed, especially when it comes to their tourist destination places, it's actually the most marketed place in Africa in terms of the
Yes.
best places to explore.
Yes.
Even in TV, radio commercials,
Yes.
wahala, yada yada.
Yes.
So for us right here in Kenya, which are the best places so far that you went to and you're like, this is such a divine experience and I love it?
Yes. I think we have so many really beautiful, especially luxury hotels, which can offer that. But I would like to point out an experience where you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get there. And one of those is Reteti. So it's an
Reteti.
elephant sanctuary, which is in northern Kenya. It's past Samburu. So it's still in Samburu, but from Archer's Post, you still need to drive like 2 hours to get there. So it is similar like David Sheldrick in Nairobi, but now this one is run by the community.
Right.
And what makes it so magical for me is that you can get there and first of all, you're surrounded by nature. The hills are there. The local community Samburus are around. And you have that first-hand experiences where they raise and support baby elephants. And
Right.
if you are lucky, because they feed them, you're not allowed to touch or feed them.
Yes.
But if you're
But
lucky,
you can move closer.
you can move close, and if you're lucky, they have the baby giraffes. And you
All
can
right, yeah.
feed them with their bottles. And that was one of the best experience I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
You go
Is-
with
is
their
it
bottle.
one of these waters as well?
No, this one is also one of my other favorite spots. It is a sanctuary which is not much known in Kenya. It's in Mombasa. It's
Right.
called Nguni Sanctuary.
Wow.
So if you get into Nguni Sanctuary, you can actually walk or have a picnic with giraffes.
Yes.
So you don't have to spend another thousands of dollars in Giraffe Manor in Nairobi, which is,
Yeah.
I also love it. It's awesome.
Shout out. Now that you mentioned it.
Yes, who doesn't
Yeah.
want to do that?
Yeah.
But if that is not yet on a list or you don't yet have that budget for, you can have a similar experience there and you can create your own picnic there, and it is a stunning experience. So every time I'm around Mombasa, I make sure I visit Nguni Sanctuary and go
Yes.
there and do it.
Yeah. And you mentioned Diani. But so
Yes.
far, I think also in Kenya, there's categories, just like coastal places.
Yes.
And apart from like places where there's a lot of water bodies, we also have like things like now sectors like the wildlife part as well. Are there maybe at a place, is there maybe at a place where you reach and you said you want to now just like travel to, let's say, conservancies and sanctuaries, and maybe again get done with conservancies, sanctuaries, and then go to, let's say, coastal areas or places where there's water bodies?
I mean, you have to always combine the travels, because at the beach, we don't really have conservancies you can go to. From Malindi, maybe you can access Tsavo, the same as from Diani sites. But I do believe in most of the travelers who come and do their travels in Kenya, they first will go on a 3 to 6 day safari and then head to the beach site for a couple of days. And also when you choose your safari, yes, we have Masai Mara and we have the biggest parks, but we also have private sanctuaries. Like, did you know that there is a rhino sanctuary? It's called Solio, where you go and see the rhinos.
Yeah.
And it's just like 3 hours from Nairobi. Or even there's Old Pecheta, which I also really do like. And they have some really cool experiences like lion tracking.
Yes.
And because there are some, like recently I just had a client and he said, if there would be one thing I would really wish to experience is if I could see lions. And obviously we can't guarantee. But if you can go on an experience where you track them, for example, your chances are way higher.
Yeah. Incredible. Off the air, we are having a conversation and you mentioned that you sometimes coordinate between you and the people outside in Germany. Is it just Germany only or even the US and many other countries?
Actually, majority of my followers, over 35%, are from the US.
All right.
And then there's Europe, Germany, UK, a bit Dubai, South Africa, and then of course Kenyans.
Yeah, so how do you coordinate with, let's say a friend, or let's imagine after this show is done, you get a DM, somebody says, I want to come travel to Kenya. How do you coordinate even that travel to Kenya and then finally you guys get to explore?
I first think nowadays, I need to employ someone who goes through my DMs. No, jokes aside. So if I can manage to read all the DMs, but usually I also have a link where they can fill out a questionnaire, and then through that questionnaire now I get you on a call. Because the magic now of the travel consultation is finding out which itinerary is best for you, not which itinerary does the tour operator wants to sell or the hotels he works with, which is best for you according to the experiences they want to do. So that is my job, through my experience of traveling, figuring out, identifying the experiences to you and also to the budget the client has. So after that process, I work with different local tour operators depending on the niches. So it might be the niche on family travel, it might be a niche on luxury, it might be a niche of sustainable travel or eco lodges or something like that. So I work with tour companies in Kenya who then now take my clients on safari.
Yeah, and how do you source for these tour companies? Because I believe there's a lot of communication happening in here between. Because a tours and travels company and also a hotel, and then now the client coming in. So there's a lot happening in between. What exactly goes on?
Very true. So right now, actually, we are taking a few more tour companies which we partner with, and it is a selective process. First of all, they have to be registered by Kato to make sure they have all the licenses and everything in place.
What you said?
Kata.
Oh, Kata is our...
Yeah, the organization for tour operators. So they just make sure all the licenses, everything is in place, because we know in Kenya or even in Africa, it can be a lot of scam and a lot of things going just under the hand. So I just need to make sure everything is legit and reliable. And then we have to go through a procedure with that tour operator. Also, mostly with them I work with, I go first travel with them, because I have to make sure whatever I promise is what they deliver. Because what I figured out, and I didn't know before I actually started traveling, if your safari is good or not depends on your guide. Because if the guide has a good network, or he is a local, for example, from Masai Mara, he will know most likely where the lions are or the leopards is, or has been the day before or the morning, so that you can actually now go and find them. And that is what just makes your experience magical. Because if you go on a safari and you will not find the animals, then all that money you pay for. So this is one of the biggest things, is what do they offer, the experiences, and do they actually deliver on the ground? The service for clients is still the most important
thing. And that's literally customer service at its best. And also, if, let's say, for example, if let me use another person, a stranger wants to travel with you right here in Kenya. Live along, because now you're an international traveler and influencer as well. So do you travel with both, or you mainly focus on international ones?
I mean, I welcome locals as well. It's just that the way it has been in the past, it has been mainly international tourists who come and travel. But if there are locals who have, like, especially in the past, I have been traveling with solo travelers, like
Yes.
Kenyan solo travelers, or even nowadays maybe moms with kids, because there is still this fear of moms, which is totally understandable. I also had it a long time, that you say like, okay, now I'm a mom, my child is small. How do I travel with that child in Kenya? I don't dare. But Sinja is doing it. She's taking her 2 years old. How is she doing it? And then, you know, combining travelers or moms with kids together, and then say, yeah, let's just go together and we look for a child-friendly, safe hotel in Masai Mara or at the beach or wherever that group wants to go.
Yes.
And then also moms can have fun while traveling, because we know for us it's very exhausting. Traveling will be then all about running behind our small ones, but actually we can't enjoy ourselves.
Yes.
And there are some camps in Kenya which they are specified on the needs for families, especially for moms. So they put like specific, even some might have nannies or different activities for the small ones, like nature walks or painting activities in the wild. For even my 2 years old when he was there. He was 1.5.
Full-blown package.
Yeah, always depends on the customer's needs.
Is it costly for, let's say, for such a package?
Depends. So those hotels who offer that, it is costly, because they're mostly like the 4-star or 5-star hotels. However, I am yet to look actually for a tour company who is willing out here to customize and specialize in family travel, because I have a very good idea on how you can do these experiences yourself as a tour company.
Without it's a tour travels company.
Yes, without relying on the hotel, so that we can give the same experience to the clients, but we don't necessarily have to book for a 4- or 5-star hotel, because this is in Kenya just very expensive.
Yeah,
even for us, it's
very expensive. Roughly how much?
The 4-
for the ones you've
5-star,
conducted,
yeah, I believe per night it's starting from $500, $600 per night.
$500, $600. That's almost close to
70,000,
80K shillings. Okay.
Yeah, and that's per night, and that's just for the hotel, what the hotel is charging, and it can go up to 200K a night.
Yeah, that is a night.
For the hotel.
Night staycation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a week, it could be even more.
Yeah, but
double.
But
twice.
then you see, Masai Mara or even Taita Hills are like one of the most expensive areas, and then of course Lewa, those areas. So you don't spend more than 2 or 3 nights there, and then you can combine with beach. And now obviously Diani or Watamu, or I personally do love Malindi actually as well.
Yeah, I love Malindi too. Oh my goodness. How many times have you been there?
Oh my God, I consider myself as a local. I actually had a place there, and I was actually considering of moving there. You see, I have been there. When I go there, I don't just go for a week. I stayed, last time I was there, I think for 2 months or even 3 months.
Yes.
So I come there, I always book for a month or 2 months, and I get a cottage, beach cottage. And the beauty about Malindi is that I find it is so peaceful.
Yes.
And not yet touristy at all, because most of the tourists will go to Watamu or Diani, or then even maybe fly to Lamu.
Yes.
But Malindi is not anymore like so touristy, and I love traveling with a peace in mind and having it quiet.
Such a nonchalant place, like a lot of serenity. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but also the coastal sandy beaches are like eye-catching and striking as well. Do you love it?
Yes. I'm a cancer by science, so I love water. I always need to go to the beach.
To the beach, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, which other best, I'll say maybe your best other destination that you've visited so far, that you feel like also in terms of its marketing, because I understand also you give opportunities to young people. So maybe let's start first with best destination that you've visited so far that you feel like here, it's a little bit downplayed, or maybe it needs to be shown a lot and stories need to be told in that community or that place.
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to reframe that question, if I may, because in Kenya, what I believe is what is still going wrong, if I can say that out loud, in the marketing aspect, is that we are marketing Kenya as destinations. We are marketing Diani, we are marketing Lamu, obviously Masai Mara, Amboseli, Nakuru.
Right.
But
what do you think it should be?
We should be advertising as what the locals actually offer and the experiences they give. Because travelers don't fly in for destinations. They fly in the feeling and the experiences they can get. And I believe every county here has magical Kenyan experiences. And we just have to find them and market those. And then every county in Kenya can be marketed really nicely.
Right.
If we forget about that system as like, Masai Mara, this. Because anyway, they will go to Masai Mara, Nakuru.
Yes.
So we can combine those safaris with those unique experiences on top.
Yes. So if you had a chance or an opportunity to meet with the Cabinet Secretary Tourism, definitely these are some of the issues or the conversations you'll be bringing up.
Yes, if I would be even able to work with Magical Kenya, here I am.
I love it, I love that.
Yeah.
But also now that we are, a good question that's just coming in, we are in a floods dispensation right now, and somebody's asking how have the floods affected your travel?
Yeah. Actually, mine personally as well. So I said I stick around to Nairobi first for safety reasons. It has affected as well a lot of course, the organization I work in and all the locals here. We are the biggest ones who are suffering. In terms of traveling, people now, because it has gotten out to the media, even in Germany, like my mother just called me the other day, and even my grandma, like if it reached to that level where they're like, oh my God, I'm seeing the floods in Nairobi or in Kenya are crazy, are you okay? That means we are putting that scarcity fear outside in the world that we are scaring off tourists to come to Kenya.
But it's happening, you can't deny that.
It is, that is very true, but also we cannot forget that tourism is still one of the main income sources for Kenyans. And
absolutely.
We cannot lose out on that opportunity of continuing the tourism which we have. And we have many areas in Kenya or in Nairobi, even in Masai Mara, like Talek River, all those areas, hotels are just flooded. So it is there. But still, we have also areas which are not flooded. And then instead, I wish the hotels and tour operators to work together and say like, okay, if one hotel in Talek River is flooded, but they can have a partnership and give those clients who had already booked and now can't travel there, and they give them over to another hotel. And they partner that way so that we don't lose on the business and on the clients, and just still making sure we're giving the best service we can. And we show ourselves as, yes, the hotel is not there anymore, it's flooded, but we still take care of the client's needs so that it doesn't get out in the media of like, now I lost my money, I lost the bookings, now I can't travel to Kenya. Because that fear is already in the travelers' minds. I had so many calls the other days. Sinja, how's it happening? Can I still come? Even to my safari in June, July, because they are now worried it will prolong up to those times. And obviously we are hoping that just in the next couple of days, the flood is going to be over. So I'm just calling out to all the hotels and tour operators that they start, instead of thinking of competition and who's the best, that they start collaborating and working with each other to make sure that travelers are going to be safe if they're coming to Kenya right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're also big in telling us. So do you tell stories, or you travel, you get the experience, and then you finally tell the story? So you're big on YouTube and now Instagram as well. How do you do it?
So first I traveled and I experienced, but then I shoot while I experience most of the cases. So, but also in Nairobi, for example, I like working with Nainami street children. So this is an organization in Nairobi by former street children. Now, instead of just me telling tourists, go and have a free tour, walk around Nairobi by yourself, which might not be safe and they might not have a good experience, I link them to an organization with former street children whereby they now show them, even downtown Nairobi, those areas which might not be considered safe, but with them it's very safe, and they share their personal stories, what made them even get to the Nairobi streets, and what has them transformed to get out. And all the money the travelers are spending are now going to get directly to the locals. And support even the other street children who are living in Nairobi streets. So if I happen to get to such an experience, I do it myself, and then I film while I go. And I talk to them, so that, you see, if you can have your followers and feeling like they are there with you, that's the best feeling you can give back. And then after that, I start a partnership, and then I say, like, now if I have clients going to Nairobi and I know they want to know more about the culture or the true Nairobi, I can connect them, and then I just send them their WhatsApp number, and then they just sign up with them directly.
And that is the power of technology. So do you believe it has raised more awareness even to your clients and the people that gravitate towards you, especially after they've viewed and watched your content online?
Yes. But I think what has raised most awareness is actually me daring to travel as a single mom with my little one. Because I had 2 videos which went viral. That was when my little one was only, I believe, 6 months old. And we traveled to Arusha and then did safaris there, so in Tanzania. And on Zanzibar, and that time it went super viral. Like, they have over 3.8, 3.7 million of views. Because people could not believe how I'm now not only traveling myself, traveling with a 6 or 1 years old, still Muzungu, with the Muzungu child.
It's that Muzungu factor.
Exactly.
That comes in.
Alone. And she's daring it now to do it with her child. So
Yes.
going against that stigma of like, you can't travel with a child, or Africa is not safe, and now you're doing that with a baby. So that is just...
And you're a Muzungu.
Exactly. So that is just what has pushed my Instagram that time.
Yeah.
And that's why I have nowadays a lot of moms following me. Or, I mean, couples all over the world, but it's mainly still female travelers who got inspired by like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely. And it's really inspirational. You go off the grain to inspire, and it literally turns out positive. I don't know how many people are inspired by this conversation. But also now, I'd also like to know, well, what are some of the best places so far that you've managed to bring clients into the country that you visited, that if you were to tell a story, you'd say, here we had a blast?
A blast? That's a good question. I mean, if you want to have a blast, I would send you to the coast areas. And like, for example, Indiani is still the place to go if you want to go out and party and have fun. I think Diani Backpackers is known all over as the party place for everyone, even locals, especially locals and volunteers who go there. But I would believe I am more into the traveling and getting inspired by the culture.
Right.
So for me, that experience, the Maasai experience, which I shared with you, and then the one in Samburu. And I'm still working with other local guides in Samburu who can give a deeper understanding about, still up to today, their traditional lifestyle, because it's still authentic there. So we don't have to send a village or people to a fake village and then believe like, okay, now you go there for 1 hour, you go out, you buy souvenirs. I don't want to support those type of travels. I do understand why they do that, to just give travelers who want to have a quick idea of the culture. And obviously, we're all humans, we all want to earn money. But it's more about being able to connect with the villages or the people on the ground, just sit down, having a one-on-one conversation or making some local food together. So I still would highlight those type of experiences, for example, in Samburu, which they also have high-end lodges, so you can combine the local experience with safari. Even with Reteti is there. And then they have amazing hills. So I'm not a big hiker myself, but one of the best experience I had is when we went early in the morning before sunrise, because we wanted to catch the sunrise on a sacred mountain. And then our guide took us up all the way, and actually it's all on one of my YouTube's videos. So if you type in Samburu, then Travel with Sinja, you will find it there. And then we went...
do that very fast.
Yes. And then we went up to the hill, and it was just one of the most beautiful experiences when you overlook the plains of Samburu, like basically nothing. It's like the similar view as you would look at the ocean. It's so peaceful, and you get that, I can't explain that feeling of, this is it, this is what life is about. And then you're up there with your Samburu guide, and he's entertaining you, he's giving you stories, he's sharing more about his life, about the culture, and I think that's all it. We don't need fancy here, fancy there. We need the small little experiences which connects you, and the right nature places as well, which connects you immediately. And I think that is why Kenya is so magical, because we have such experiences all over. And one of the beauty about Kenya is that Kenya has the beach, Kenya has safari, Kenya has the mountains, Kenya has the desert. It's like in Nairobi city life.
Nairobi
it's like
has, what is it called? The wildlife service, nature, everything.
Yeah, we have everything combined for what a traveler might look for. And that's why Kenya is one of the best travel destinations itself.
Yes, I love
because
hearing
we have
that,
everything within. We don't have to go even somewhere else to have such an experience.
From your mindset and your experience, do you think maybe locals here downplay that experience?
Yes.
You believe that?
Yes. Not only downplaying, maybe also they haven't yet gotten the experience or the chance to actually go and get it. Because don't forget, hiring those cars to drive to Masai Mara is already very expensive. And the entry fees, the rates have just increased also recently. So it's the best as a local if you just join a group. And then, because there are those tour operators out there who deal with locals, and they do group joining safaris to make it affordable for them. And then I believe it's the best experience for locals to see and explore their own country, right?
I believe we are almost done. So if you were to maybe sit with the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, before you actually tell us where people can plug in and find you and support you, if you were to advise or have a conversation with the Cabinet Secretary of Tourism and maybe advise her rather, on places that can be given a facelift, especially when it comes to promoting our tours and travels experience right here in Kenya, what other places would you point out? And what do you think also maybe need to be done from your experience?
So from my experience, I would either they partner with an organization who has like gotten out all the experiences, or we first do an official research or announcement in Kenya, which is like we need to figure out all those unique places and experiences locals can actually do or have or exist already, and then we can highlight those, because as I said, I believe they're in every area. But I would still love to highlight on those areas like Samburu area, northern Kenya area, but also areas like just here around in Kajiado, which are not too far. And it's just like in a circuit of like 2 hours or 3 hours drive. Because we might not always have the money and the time to go all the way drive to Samburu or all the way going to Diani. We would also, especially as Nairobians, have experiences, especially now for locals, to like see like, okay, what is just around. And that's why I actually got an opportunity to work with another hotel. Right now they're still focusing on locals, but I know they're also going to welcome internationals very soon. And it's in Kajiado, it's just like a 3 hours drive. And they do have amazing experiences of like, even you can do the...
is it Olepolos?
No, it's called Quenya, Quenya Eco Lodge. And it's new, it's just coming up now. And you can have your Nyamajoma party there. You can go with they have the quads, how do you call them? The quads where you go like through now the sanctuaries. And it's just like also a bit, and even have upseiling on the mountain. It's more like an adventure travel, but in an eco lodge. So they just invited me to go and create more content, raise more awareness. And just one experience which are accessible within, like it's not taking you a 5 hours or 10 hours drive. You might even, if it's not flooded, of course, you might even be able to go with your own car. So you don't, your costs are on a budget.
Perfect. So you mentioned a really important part. So is that how now you get to influence a place? So when they see some of your videos, they give you a call or they give you feedback and they're like, hey Sonja, please come visit. We'd like you to have an experience
And then we have an agreement, like they hire me basically as an consultant, and then we agree, I'm like, okay, I shoot content for you, like I talk about you like now on the news, or I tell you in my Instagram or my followers, or the people who actually come to travel, I advise them, because of course, if I am not aware of the experience you're doing, I can't send you clients. So, and also I might be aware of it, but I still do believe I can only advertise or send clients to places I have been personally traveling to. Because I need to approve and see like, this is actually legit and it's safe. And then I can rate it and share it with my audience.
Incredible, incredible. This is my last question before you tell how people can support you and sponsor you. So if you were to maybe give a TED talk about your experience, just in 30 seconds, I want that clinch, I want that intro. If you're to give a TED talk about your experience in Kenya, what are some of the 3 lines that you give for that start of that TED talk on that podium?
Good question. So I think I would start saying like traveling to Kenya has changed my life in a way that I said, I don't want to live in Germany anymore. And Kenya is that magical that it has transformed not only my life, also my goal is to transform another 1,000 or millions of people so that they can experience the beauty of Kenya and get changed through traveling the way I got changed. And then be able to create the life they actually want to live.
Profound. Definitely that will get me hooked onto that TED talk, I believe. Incredible. So tell people where they can partner with you, support you, find you. Is there a website? Is there a number? This is your camera.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, as he had said, I think my biggest one is still Instagram. You can find me there at Travel with Sinja. So for all the locals here, Sinja for you, S-I-N-J-A, so travel with me. You can also find me under the same in YouTube. But if you want to reach out to me directly, I would still advise writing an email. So travelwithsinja@gmail.com. Because I might get so overloaded with Instagram messages, they might not all come through the DMs so that I'll be not able to get you. So I'll be waiting, actually this is a call if I may, for everyone who has an experience out there and things like either you own a hotel, you work for a hotel, or you have your own cultural experiences. which you think like, yes, that needs to be advertised and being known all over the world, not only Kenya, the entire world, so that you can get clients, please reach out to me, and then, yeah, we see. My team will get back to you.
Absolutely. I love it. Perfect. It has been incredible talking to you. And I feel like we can continue talking over and over again because it's interesting to talk to you.
Thank you.
All right. You can call her Nashipai or Sinja. The other one, I'm not ready to butcher it, but thank you so much for coming through, Sinja.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. All right. At this point is where we say we take a break at Y254 channel _on the gram. Personally, mine is a brand Sakwana1. We take a break and we come back with the next conversation, still right here on the hashtag Y in the morning.
Y254. Imagine.